So this is a story of how a messed up eBay purchase changed my life. It's not like, I went from being disabled and now I have legs or I got in a wheelchair, but it made a very, very significant change in my life. So I decided that I wanted to get a motherboard very cheaply on eBay, and somebody was selling one. It looked like a decent price for this thing. And I figured, okay, let me go ahead and get it. And I got it. And I put it in my computer and everything worked, except that it would keep resetting. Like I would use the computer for a certain amount of time and then it would just go to blue screen, bloop. Maybe it was 10 minutes or 20 minutes, I can't remember. But it would just keep doing that. And one of the problems that it could have been would have been the memory, like if it was bad memory or something. But I was pretty sure that that was not the problem. I spoke to the person that I bought this thing from, and they were like, well, you're using Windows, blah, blah, blah. If you decided to use Linux, you probably wouldn't have any problem. That's probably a Windows problem. And I said to them, I said, yo, that is probably going to be one of the most excruciating and annoying things to do, i.e., to experiment and figure out how to use Linux. Because if you don't know, Linux is a different operating system. In the same way that you have Macs and you have PCs, you also have something called Linux, and you also have a couple other things that you could use that nobody's heard of, Unix and these other things. Anyway, I had always wanted to use Linux because it's free, unlike Macs and Windows, where you have to pay for. So but I'd never actually gotten around to using it. I'm a computer science major, so it was something that I should know how to use and I should have practice with and whatever. Yes, it was many years ago that I majored and I graduated and everything, but here's this thing that's free that I don't have to look for, cracked software to use this Windows with. That's what I usually used, cracked software. And it was always annoying to try to find the newest cracked software that I could get for free. Anyway, uh, since the seller was telling me that that would solve the problem, I was like, you know what? That is going to be horrible, and it would suck if after I did that, it still didn't work. But okay, and I went ahead and I used Ubuntu, I believe, um, and I was right. It was absolutely horrible to go through the installation and the troubleshooting and the errors and the all sorts of things that happened one after the other. And eventually I got it installed and it was fine. And I know there's people out there who are going to tell me that they never had any problems and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's great for you. But that was not my experience. My experience was that it was pretty difficult, probably because I was trying to get both Windows and Linux on the same machine, and there's stuff involved with that. And it was just not cool. And when I was done and I installed everything, I still had the same problem. I still, after a certain amount of time passed, the computer would just crash, you know, problem, problem, problem. So at this point, I don't know how many weeks had passed maybe, and I'm telling the person that I bought it from, hey, what am I supposed to do now? What? Because I have to give this purchase like a horrible ranking, And this was one of the first times that I bought something on eBay, um, and this was going to be a situation where I didn't have any experience buying stuff on eBay, and I bought it. This is long past the time when you could return anything, and it was going to be a problem for me to return anything anyway if I had to. Um, so here I am, spent my money, and this is going to be a horrible purchase. And I tell the guy, hey, what do you want me to do? Give me some advice. And I've never heard from that person ever again, because I'm sure, as they were telling me, this was just a motherboard and memory and stuff that they had sitting down there, and they just never used it. And they did not want this problem that I was giving them. They just wanted this thing to be sold and for it to be the end. And here it was that this thing that was supposed to give them some extra money, it was just giving them some extra headache, kind of like they gave me when I bought this thing from them. Anyway, yeah, like I said, I never heard from that dude again. And so what's the situation? What happened? I had this thing that's not working. Well, as it turned out, it was the memory. One of the memory cards was bad. And this was another situation where I had thought, it can't be that. It cannot be that. And when I had no other choice, and I actually checked to see which one of the memory cards would work in it, it worked. It was fine. There's no problem with one of them. And the other one was supposed to be the problem, and I just got another one eventually. And that is what I have had for a really long time. I don't even know how long I've had this thing. I really should check that. But it's, you know what? I think it's like more than 4 years, could be 5 or 6 years since I bought that. And this is a desktop. And I'm not in any way an expert on Linux, uh, but I have escaped the Windows upgrade cycle. I don't have as many issues with that. I don't really have to worry about viruses. I don't really have to worry about a lot of different things. Like there's a new version of Linux that's out and it's for free. I have a slight problem, as I have had from time to time, which is that something is wrong with the system where the way that it's, you press the button and they say upgrade and it starts to upgrade and then it stops and it told me something's wrong here, buddy. So we can't continue. But if I Google that for a little while, I'm sure I will figure out what is wrong, as I have in the past. And yeah, so it could have been a bad purchase when I made this thing however many years ago. But this is the thing with when you upgrade Windows. Every time you upgrade Windows, your old hardware is it becomes like useless. Not useless, not completely useless, but it means that there's a less likelihood that you're going to be able to continue using it. So the fact that I have been able to continue using the same hardware that I bought 4 years ago, and there's a new upgrade, and there's not going to be any problem really. I don't expect, because I upgraded before in the past, and I didn't have any issues with the hardware. It works just the same. Um, yeah, this is where I needed to be, and I would never have done this without this problem that I thought was a problem. And then, because I had copies of Linux from many years, and every year I would see it, and there'd be a new version out, and there'd be CDs that you could download and burn a copy on, and I would do that. I had several CDs, and I probably still do have a number of CDs there from Linux from who knows how long or how far back, but I just never wanted to go through the hassle of learning how to use Linux and installing it and da 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 da. So thankfully, I had that misadventure, and yeah, uh, I would not prefer to go back to Windows and have to deal with the viruses and all these different issues that I had to in the past. So that's my story. Thanks for listening if you did. And I keep forgetting I'm supposed to start these things with hello, fellow Earthlings, but I just keep forgetting. Anyway, have a good one. Peace.